Imagine this. A company, one of the biggest entertainment giants, owning franchises like Marvel, Star Wars, traditionally pretty male-focused stuff.
Right. Huge ones.
And then they come out discussing, well, what they're calling boy trouble. It's quite something, isn't it?
It really is a pretty significant admission, especially coming from Disney. It definitely signals they're rethinking things.
A major shift, yeah. So today, we're doing a deep dive into exactly that, Disney acknowledging this boy trouble and their big push to win back Gen Z men. We're looking at a variety piece from August 21st, 2025, Disney's Boy Trouble, Studio Seeks Original IP, you know the one, and also a YouTube analysis digging into their past strategies.
Right, trying to piece together how we got here.
Exactly. Our mission is to pull out the key info, what led to this, what's the plan now, and what does it all tell us about, well, storytelling and connecting with audiences today?
Yeah, we'll look at the decisions, the patterns you can see, and what it might mean for how big studios work going forward.
So if you've maybe noticed big franchises feeling a bit different lately, or wondered why some movies click and others just don't, this is for you. We're digging into what happens when a powerhouse like Disney struggles with a key demographic and, what that could mean for the movies and shows we'll see next. Okay, let's jump right in. This whole boy trouble thing coming from Disney, it feels, well, unexpected for a company with such iconic brands. How does that Variety article frame it?
Well, the article's pretty direct. It says Disney execs are basically squeezing Hollywood over the last number of months for original ideas.
Original ideas, okay.
Yeah, specifically aimed at bringing young men back into the fold. And they're very specific about the target audience, too.
Who are they aiming for?
It's Gen Z men, so age roughly 13 to 28.
Right, and the irony here, according to the sources we looked at, was pretty stark.
How so?
Well, this is apparently the same group they have been overtly shaming for the last number of years. Quite the U-turn.
It definitely looks that way. And the sources suggest Disney knows where these guys are spending their time. Look at their recent, $1.5 billion stake in Fortnite.
Ah, right. Gaming.
Exactly. It shows they recognize gaming's pull for this demographic, and they're trying to meet them there.
So, okay, Disney had Marvel, they had Star Wars, huge franchises, traditionally very popular with guys. What do the sources say went wrong? Why the struggle now?
The analysis we looked at suggests that for a while there, Disney kind of decided to lecture its audience rather than entertain them. That's the core argument.
Lecture them? How?
Well, the sources describe it as pushing DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and what the critique calls corporate feminism into these franchises.
Franchises originally built for men, right?
Yeah, that's the point made. And then the analysis contends, when the films or shows didn't perform well, Disney blamed fans. So this approach, the sources argue, ended up pushing away a big chunk of that traditional male audience.
That's a really strong point about lecturing. It certainly feels different from, say, the early Marvel days. I mean, Iron Man blew up back in 2009.
Right.
And Star Wars, obviously a huge legacy there. Both were massive hits. People loved the lightsabers and space battles, fun and interesting storylines. And, as one source put it, importantly, no psycho overt political lecturing.
Exactly. And the YouTube analysis points to a specific shift, saying Disney decided to sort of effectively rebrand these franchises.
Rebrand them how?
By making it clear that a primary objective was to have more women, more diversity, and more female-led stories. And this wasn't just on screen. It involved hiring more women into high-ranking roles, too. The analysis even points to Kathleen Kennedy wearing that Forces Female t-shirt.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, critics saw that as a really symbolic of this deliberate change in focus and messaging.
Okay, strategy is one thing, but how did it actually, show up on screen? Can we look at some specific examples from Star Wars and Marvel?
Definitely. Let's start with Star Wars. Remember The Force Awakens back in 2015?
Yeah. Well, the main character, Rey, a lot of critics and fans saw her as an unlikable Mary Sue.
The term for a character who's maybe too perfect?
Right. Lacking flaws, maybe doesn't earn their skills. And she was often described as being surrounded by incompetent male characters. That set a tone, according to the source.
Okay.
Then, The Last Jedi in 2017, Luke Skywalker, the big hero, becomes this grumpy hermit who tossed his lightsaber like it was rubbish.
That caused some controversy.
It did. And reportedly, Disney execs were pretty open that the goal was to attract more women to the franchise and make everything more woman-friendly.
And did this trend continue after that?
Oh, very much so, according to the analysis. You had shows like The Acolyte in 2024. The source highlights its focus on twin sisters, diverse Jedi, and Force-sensitive dinosaurs, and lesbian space witches. That's how the source described it.
Right.
And characters like Vice Admiral Holdo, some viewers found her unlikable, felt like a weird self-insert, maybe referencing her purple hair.
And it's notable, Star Wars hasn't actually put out a movie since 2019. Just, as the source puts it, a bunch of reasonably terrible shows.
Wow. Okay, what about Marvel?
Yeah.
Endgame was this huge peak.
Yeah.
But things felt different afterwards.
Yeah, definitely. Post-Endgame, so after 2019, the analysis says Marvel leaned hard into what fans often call the MCU.
The MCU.
Yeah, it's a fan term, kind of a nickname, for the Marvel Cinematic Universe having a much bigger focus on female characters and stories.
Gotcha. Any specific examples?
She-Hulk from 2022 is a prime one.
Yeah.
It focused more on courtroom drama and women-orientated issues. Hulk himself was much more secondary.
Right.
And the source points out how Hulk seemed weaker than Jennifer Walters, who apparently picked up skills almost immediately and could absolutely thrash him around. And there's that one quote from the show, it got a lot of attention.
Which one was that?
Where She-Hulk says, here's the thing, Bruce. I am great at controlling my anger. I do it all the time when I'm catcalled in the street, when incompetent men explain my own area of expertise to me. I do it infinitely more than you. You know the one.
Yeah, that definitely sparked discussion. How did the analysis connect that kind of thing to, say, the box office?
Well, the performance wasn't great, according to the sources. The Marvels in 2023 apparently tanked.
Ouch.
And even Fantastic Four First Steps in 2025, while maybe doing a bit better than some expected, it just didn't stick. The sources say it didn't hit like a Marvel film used to, especially with men.
So, unpacking all that.
Yeah.
Was the issue simply that audiences, specifically men, didn't want female leads? Or was it more complicated?
That's a key point the analysis makes. It argues it's not because men refuse to watch female characters. Not at all.
So what is the issue then?
It's about wanting well-written variety. The critique is that Hollywood, maybe Disney specifically here, got so preoccupied with having any woman in the lead that they've forgotten to produce women who have actual personality traits, who have struggles and flaws and feel things and experience life.
Ah, so it's about the quality of the character writing, not the gender itself.
Exactly. Superficial representation without compelling characters, without relatable struggles. That's what alienates people, the argument goes, not just the fact that the character is female.
That makes sense. It actually leads into another interesting point. Is this whole thing, this difficulty with male-focused stories, actually new for Disney? Or is there a history here?
Well, what's really fascinating, according to the sources, is that this isn't new at all. Apparently, driving things into the ground is actually not new for Disney. They've been fumbling male-oriented stories for decades.
Decades? Like when?
Think back to the early 2000s. They tried appealing to boys with some animated films then, too. Often didn't go so well.
Really? Which ones are we talking about?
Well, Treasure Planet is a big one, described as this sci-fi treasure island with a rebellious teen lead. Right?
Yeah, I remember that one. Visually stunning.
Totally. And it had an older cyborg guy who, is sort of like this daddy figure dealing with male-orientated themes. But despite being pretty good, it completely flopped. Made like $109 million on a $140 million budget.
Wow.
And the source even mentions speculation that it might have been deliberately capsized.
To what?
As an excuse to move away from 2D animation, maybe?
Okay.
Then there was Atlantis, the Lost Empire.
Another cool concept.
Yeah, steampunk adventure with a nerdy male hero and an attractive female protagonist. Looked great, interesting story, but it barely cleared its $120 million budget.
So these movies seem to have potential good themes, maybe. Why do the sources think they failed so badly?
Well, the argument is Disney barely marketed them. Not like the princess films anyway. Those seem to get all of the love. There's this widely held belief, the source says, that these movies were actually just deliberately set up to fail.
Implying Disney just didn't really believe in stories aimed at boys.
Or maybe just couldn't be bothered putting effort into them, as the source suggests.
But that's strange, considering they also made The Lion King, right? which was huge and definitely male-oriented.
Absolutely. That film knocked it out of the park, no question. Still one of their biggest hits.
So it's not a total blind spot.
Not total, no. But looking at the bigger picture, the source concludes this pattern of making a guy-focused story and then starving it shows that Disney's never been all that good at speaking to men consistently.
Interesting.
It sort of hints that historically, maybe they were just more comfortable with the fairy tales and princess stories that clicked more easily with female audiences.
Which brings us right back to the present. Who exactly are these Gen Z men Disney is now trying to court, and what do they actually want to watch?
Yeah, the sources paint quite a picture. They're described as potentially lonely, gaming-obsessed, and maybe significantly impacted by the COVID-19 lockdowns.
Okay.
And there's another point the source makes that this generation, Gen Z, is perceived as increasingly more and more right-wing.
And the implication there is?
That Disney's aggressive political messaging, as the sources term it, just isn't going to fly with this group. They're looking for something else entirely.
So what is that something else? What kind of entertainment are they looking for?
According to the sources, they want heroes they can root for, stories that feel authentic. They want protagonists who are both likable, relatable, and extraordinary.
Makes sense.
And crucially, the sources emphasize they want to see men who are not being downtrodden and shamed just for being men. The analysis argues they're looking for the inverse of what's been happening to them, supposedly, over the last few years. They definitely don't want movies that feel like ticking boxes on a corporate diversity checklist.
Okay, so it's not that these Gen Z guys aren't watching anything?
No, not at all.
They're just choosing not to watch what Disney's been putting out lately.
Exactly. The sources are very clear. They are disinterested in consuming the media that Disney keeps turning out. But they did go see other stuff.
Like what?
Like the Minecraft movie reportedly did over $1 billion. Sonic the Hedgehog, the Top Gun sequel.
All huge hits, especially with younger guys.
Right. Very successful with that demographic.
So what was the magic formula for those movies? Why did they succeed where, according to this analysis, Disney failed?
Well, the analysis says the answer is actually very simple and straightforward.
Which is?
It's because they're fun, they're engaging, maybe there's a little bit of a nostalgia element. Critically, nothing feels forced, and importantly, there's no lectures.
Back to the lecturing point.
Yeah, the argument is these other studios were out to entertain. Simple as that, not to preach. And that's what clicked with Gen Z men.
That really brings up a huge question. Beyond the creative side, what about the money? What are the financial consequences when a studio takes an approach that allegedly alienates a big chunk of its audience?
Well, the source puts it pretty bluntly. It makes no financial sense to tell the vast majority of moviegoers not to come and see your movies by insulting and demeaning them.
Strong words.
Very strong. The analysis suggests Disney's adherence to socio-political messaging has literally made them stupid and door crazy. It even claims their writing rooms apparently could have doubled as padded cells.
Wow, okay. That's quite a critique, indicating a real disconnect from audience desires and, well, financial reality.
Yeah, it highlights a perceived major misunderstanding. And the source goes on to talk about different entertainment preferences.
Between men and women.
Right. It draws a pretty clear line, statistically speaking. For men, the appeal is often in things like war, superpowers, stopping the bad guys. You know, a super person punch another super person into a building.
Classic action tropes.
That's what grabs their attention, gets them to open their wallets, generally speaking. But for women, the sources observe, they tend to gravitate towards entertainment that deals with relational intrigue. Stories where people are tangled in intense situations with one another. Think romance films, period dramas, rom-coms, even reality TV, true crime, podcasts. If it's about relationships under pressure, the source says, it's women who are tuning in to see it by and large.
And they mentioned Taylor Swift.
Yeah, her huge appeal is cited as a prime example of connecting through these kinds of relational narratives.
Okay, so if those preferences are generally distinct, Disney's strategy, according to this analysis, was trying to blend them in the wrong way.
That's exactly the argument. Disney tried to push a square peg of femininity into a round hole of masculinity. They thought they could broaden the appeal of these male-centric franchises.
But it backfired.
Yeah, the claim is women still didn't want to watch these particular versions, and men stopped showing up. The source sums it up with that Confucius quote. The man who chases two rabbits catches neither.
So, bringing it all together,
Yeah.
What's the big takeaway here for Disney, and maybe for us watching all this unfold?
I think the core message from these sources is pretty clear. Quote, "You cannot build a loyal, dedicated audience by lecturing them or sidelining the stories that they love."
Right.
Franchises like Marvel and Star Wars became huge because of epic adventures and great relatable heroes and characters, not because of, as the source puts it, corporate feminism and other weird social justice initiatives being shoved into everything.
And the audience reaction shows that.
The box office flops, the streaming struggles. The analysis argues it shows people are gravitating aggressively away from politically motivated, politically driven stories. They just want to be entertained.
So what does this mean for Disney going forward now that they're actively looking for new original IP?
Well, that pivot itself, looking for new IP and new and original stories to tell, is definitely a step in the right direction, according to the analysis.
But it's not enough on its own?
Probably not. To really rebuild that trust, especially with the audience they lost, they need to actually listen to fans, not just write them off as toxic. The path forward, the source suggests, is rediscovering that storytelling magic by making movies and shows that appeal to everybody while not preaching at anyone.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. Disney's surprising boy trouble admission, tracing it back through changes in Star Wars and Marvel, looking at some historical fumbles, and now this new strategy focusing on original IP for Gen Z men. It leaves us with a big question, though. Disney says they're targeting Gen Z men with new stuff. But is this a real change in direction, a genuine pivot, or is it just reacting to bad numbers without fixing the core issues?
Right. Well, they really ditched the social justice mindset, as the critics call it, that arguably caused the problem.
Or is it just, hot air? Talk without a real change in how they make stories. And what does this whole thing tell us about entertainment's future? What kind of stories will succeed? And maybe what role do you, the audience, actually play in deciding that?
Yeah, definitely something to think about.
Makes you consider. What do you think makes a story really grab you? Is it about hitting certain demographics? Or is it more about timeless themes, strong characters, just pure, unadulterated entertainment?